Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Honoured to be joined by legendary promoter Frank Warren and the voice of BT Sports Boxing, John Rawling. Guys, we've got the big show tomorrow night. We're here at the weigh-in. Daniel Dubois lurking ominously behind us. Glad it's not the real one, because now is the time when they really start getting aggressive and ready to fight, although thankfully he doesn't have to make weight, which would make him even more scary proposition. What are you looking to see from Daniel? You first, Frank, tomorrow night. He's expected to win, but what do you want to see from his performance?
What do I want to see? I want to see an exciting, for the fans, some excitement. I want to see it. We know he can punch. I want to see him get behind that jab that he's really been working hard on and has established it as one of the best heavyweight jabs out there. I want to see him do that and just break the guy up and take him out. That's what I'm looking for. And what I want to see is for him not to be clipped himself, not getting any, showing more of defence, and just keep learning and learning.
John, school us on the opponent, Ebenezer. Is he Ebenezer good or Ebenezer average, or what would you make of him?
Well, we'll wait and see. I mean, he's got 16 knockouts in 19 fights, which suggests he can punch. He's not fought anybody of Daniel's level, but talking to him, he says that in his opinion he's a better fighter than Richard Lartey, who we know back in April at the Albert Hall gave Daniel a very exciting 4 rounds before Daniel put him down and finished him. And even then, Lartey was ready to try and get back up and trying to have another go. I mean, I think he's going to come and give it a real shot, because he'd be the first ever Ghanaian Commonwealth heavyweight champion if he were to win it. And we talk about Daniel Dubois, and yeah, he's a star in the making, but you shouldn't forget, should you, that for the other guy it's a huge opportunity.
That's what happens you've seen, and upsets, I keep saying upsets, they've not stopped happening this year in Aldridge. But Daniel's a real professional. He works very hard in the gym, and he's got to show that he's a level above all these guys. It's a fight that's the Commonwealth, that's the fight they wanted for the title. That's the one they've got, and it's another belt for him to be challenging in his 12th fight.
He showed terrific boxing ability in his win against Nathan Gorman, and I don't know about Frank, but I'd certainly like to see more of that, see him building on that, because it all came off the jab, didn't it? It's an old boxing adage, you work off the jab, but Daniel really won that fight pretty much on the back of that.
And Frank, I saw someone shared an article with me just before we came to the weigh-in. Sam Jones talking about Joe Joyce possibly fighting Marco Huck now for the vacant European title. Yeah, it's been ordered. He also said in there he doesn't think that Daniel Dubois genuinely wants to fight Joe Joyce. He said you're pushing for the fight, but Dubois himself doesn't want it. What do you make of that?
Well, Sam's obviously got his opinion, but the Board of Control nominated Daniel to fight for the British title where he didn't pull out of it.
Have you had conversations with Daniel about Joyce specifically? Does he seem keen on that one?
When the board, when it's Daniel was nominated to fight Joe, obviously we're having discussions, but Joe and his team, and I've got a lot of respect for Joe, don't get me wrong, it ain't no easy fight, it's all fighting Joe Joyce, but Joe and his team were in a position where they said they had the European and to go for, and also they were the mandatory to Manuel Shah's WBA version, so they didn't want to give up that position. They felt they had bigger fish to fry, but that's a fight we can make. It's no problem at our end making it. The only one I'd have any problems with making at the moment is Tyson Fury. If they could be made, and those big fights can't be made, and I wouldn't want them yet, it's too soon for him, but they can't be made because all those champions are all tied up. But the likes of Derek Chisoras and all those other guys out there, in a heartbeat.
And it could eventually come off for all 3 belts if Joyce is successful against Marco Huck or whoever it might be. Shades of Gary Mason, Lennox Lewis perhaps, John?
Well, it's a big fight in the making, isn't it? I mean, Joyce against Daniel is a real headline fight. And it's the sort of fight I'm not only a commentator, I'm a fan, and it's a fight I want to see. He's a big, strong, relentless, keep coming fighter like Joe Joyce, who's getting on now, really, in boxing terms, against a young prospect who's done absolutely everything right so far. It's got all the makings.
I think only his age is a thing about him. The fact that he won the silver medal in the Olympics and he turned pro late. But as far as a pro's concerned, he's relatively, I'd say a novice. But what's he had now? 10 fights, 11 fights. So they're about the same amount of fights, the same amount of experience as pros. Although obviously Joe's had a vast amount of amateur experience. But that's a great fight. We're not going to make it next. It's not going to happen because he's going to fight Hook. Huck, whatever his name is. So he'll fight him, and that's a tough fight. That's no given. So he'll fight him, and then who knows? Next year we can do that fight. But as I say, for either of them, and I've got to say the same with Joe. Joe will fight anyone. You know, we made some substantial offers to Chisora, to David Price. We've offered all them fights. None of them want to know. They don't want to know him.
Brilliant. Well, guys, we really appreciate your time. We hope the show goes brilliantly. We'll be watching, of course, tomorrow night.